go fight for. I'm again na you, say na you I go die for. I no get motor, but na you I go ride for. When I dey sing, say na you I dey sing for. My baby dance, make you move for the dance floor. I'm again, she no be me, you dey fall for. Wine slow, boogie down low. Now the first time where I dey in love, oh. It be like drug where they make me slow. Anywhere you go, I go follow you go. Mogbe oh, Monica, Monica, hey Monica, Monica, hello Monica, come my way, never let go. She say, oh, before like it, me I know, me I know be do you any money more. Yeah, even if I be bad commando. Girl, in your love, where they ginger me, you they give me the love and the energy. Only you where they hide me like Hennessy, baby, Girl, in your love, where they ginger me, you they give me the love and the energy. Only you where they giving me melody,
No interruptions, just the music you love on Channel Africa.
"17 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time with you, Davido featuring Omalay. And before that, we had Ginger Me. I think Rema was on that one. And this is The Upside. Welcome to the Monday edition of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective, with Tebogo, Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. We're coming to you live from the Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Join us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. You wouldn't happen to have caught the rugby game or have heard about the rugby game this past weekend?
Yeah, but now I heard about it.
You heard about it? Yeah, it's fine.
At least.
Yeah, it's fine if you didn't catch it live.
No, I wouldn't want to catch it live, but I heard about it. I'm not that out of touch.
Okay. I'm happy you heard about it because what's his name? Siamtanda Kolisi he was celebrating his 100th game for the Springboks, which was in itself quite the achievement. And then the Springboks went to go and win that game. Oh, they're showing why they are the best in the world. Because in the first half of that game, they were really struggling against France. They were on the court. And then they came in the second half, man, from behind and overtook France and ended up winning that game. What a way for Usiamtanda Kolisi to celebrate his centurion of a game. So if you're a South African rugby fan, I'm sure you were celebrating with us, which is brilliant. That's what we want.
Yeah, babes wear rugby.
Babes with... Okay. Oh, 19 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African
Bring
time.
back fond memories.
Let's take a quick breather. When we get back, it's time for What Caught Your Eye.
Channel Africa.
Your Africa, your voice, your channel. Channel Africa.
The African perspective.
Ready to connect, innovate, and be inspired? It's all happening at Africa Tech Festival, where Africa's technology meets the world. From the 10th to the 13th of November in Cape Town, join global leaders, investors, and innovators driving the future of Africa's digital economy. Don't miss the continent's biggest week in tech. Get your pass now at africatechfestival.com.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito. Only on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
20 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. It's time for What Caught Your Eye. Now, I don't know how true a story this is. By the way, did we end up finding out how much Mr. Please Call Me got from Vodacom? When is that coming out? On the 10th. That's today.
No, actually,
Those
we need to check that out. Oh, they're coming out today.
Apparently,
because
yeah.
there's all kinds of speculations. I saw another 780 million come out.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm looking at all these numbers. I'm like, who's actually the great winner here? Is it Makate or is it going to be the South African Revenue Services? Who's actually going to be the grand prize winner in this situation? And my heart broke a little bit when I started to think too deeply.
That's an interesting one.
So I decided to go make myself a sandwich instead.
That is a very interesting one. Actually, listen, we'll keep an eye out on that. I don't know if those financials from Vodacom have come out. Someone was speculating and said, it's getting 9.4 billion rand. I was like, someone said that today.
That's
I was like,
juicy.
I was like, they made it sound as if they saw these financials from Vodacom, and that's why they were. Someone else was saying, no, it's about just 200 million rand. That's all he got. So we'll keep an eye out on that and see exactly how much he ended up pocketing. I know people are very heavily invested in this conversation because they've been supporting Mr. Please Call Me for the longest time.
It's drained us as well.
It's drained us as well. We've been a part of it. We were fighting with him. We were
sitting on the edge of our seats. Oh my goodness.
We were saying, corporates are bad. Corporates, Vodacom, right? And now, and everything was in public. Now, all of a sudden, people are complaining, like, hey, why didn't he tell us? Why didn't he tell us? Why are we so entitled? We will see those financials from Vodacom, and we'll get an idea of how much exactly he ended up pocketing. Okay, so here's what caught my eye. And again, I don't necessarily I don't know how true it is, and that's why I will allow perhaps even the federation of this football club to even reach out to us here on Channel Africa. We'd love to get the full story, because as it stands, the place where it happened, they're denying that it even happened in the first place, that there were no controversial anything on that particular game. There was a violence that broke out on Saturday during a Nigeria Premier Football League (NPFL) encounter between Katsina United and Barao Football Club. This was after a Barao player, Nana Abraham, was attacked and left with a deep cut on his neck by enraged fans of the home team. And it happened because he scored a 69th minute equalizer to make the game 1-1. And this was a development that seemed to have infuriated some of the Katsina United supporters at the stadium. Chaos erupted, and somehow they ended up getting close to this player, and they slit his throat. It was quite a chaotic scene. The game was stopped, to get control of what was happening. But I think for me, it comes back to the fact that we are sport crazy, soccer crazy, and we're very passionate about sport. It's not just in South Africa, not just in Africa, throughout the whole world, we are very passionate about sport. But I don't know how much of that passion, whether it's purely just the passion for the game, you want your team to win, and yes, testosterone, and you get very excited when your team wins, and when they don't, you feel like, hey, it pains you personally. And how much of it has to do with, I know it's, I'm reaching here, and how much of it has to do with gambling, sports betting. Because if you had placed the bet on a particular team to win, and maybe you had some insights on, yes, that team is definitely going to score that and that number of goals and what, and it doesn't play out the way that you were hoping it to play out based on the bet that you have made, how infuriated would you then get? So passion for the sport, for the game, I get that. But if there's an extra level of passion that we're applying because of sports betting, gambling that is involved, then, it really shows that we have a big, big problem. If that then is the case, that we can resort to violence of that nature because we're so passionate about a game. Is it the game that we're passionate about, or are we going to lose money because someone now scored an equalizer and it now ruined my multi-bet or whatever, however much money I put on that game, and I was hoping for a different result. So it's an interesting one. I thought I'd bring it up. It caught my eye, and I realized that yes, we are very passionate as a nation, as a continent about sport, but it need not resort to us physically attacking the players when it doesn't go in our favor. We want our teams to win, of course we do, but if it doesn't work out in our favor, we don't have to resort to violence. To express our frustration. Allow the players to be players and enjoy themselves. And I know I'm going to use another example. Cricket is a big one. Cricket in India, because it's like a religion in India. And the players hardly have time to just be human beings. They can't just go into a shop. They are mobbed consistently. And if they have a bad performance, the people will even threaten their lives. That's how big a sport it is, and a religion it is in India. But as a nation, as a continent, let us enjoy sport for what it is. Let's enjoy what the players are doing, but don't threaten their lives and don't physically assault them. That just defeats the whole thing. They'll end up cancelling these whole sporting things because we are doing all these things.
Yeah, that sounds toxic. Okay, very quickly, I just want to acknowledge the fact that the Grammys are putting South African superstars on the spotlight again, which is wonderful.
Which ones?
Let me tell you. Let me fill you in. So the Recording Academy has made an announcement of the nominees for the 2026 Grammy Awards. They've unveiled the musicians and recordings that influenced the past year as we know it. The ceremony is scheduled for February 2026 in LA. And it's obviously going to be broadcast for us everywhere to be able to witness. And there are quite a few names that I'm seeing there. So 2025 Grammy offered a clear illustration of the shift. Thames was a winner this year. She won Best African Music Performance with Love Me Jeje, recognition that reflected positivity on her ongoing rise in the space. Also, South African flautist Wouter Kellerman also won another Grammy. I mean, he's not new to this. This is like his thing, Yep. It's like breathing. Winning Grammy Awards for Wouter Kellerman is like breathing. So he also earned one this year for the New Age Ambient category. And this was his third, I think. His third, if not his fourth Grammy. I stand to be corrected. But this year, in the Best African Music Performance category, maybe I should say it like this, in the Best African Music Performance category, the nominees that are reflected, I see Burna Boy is on the list, Davido is on the list, Omale is on there as well, artists like, another one that's not new to the space, Angelique Kidjo, a very familiar name in the Grammy nomination and putting African music on the map and all that wonderful stuff. So she is nominated for Best Global Music Performer. Who else is on there? Man, I saw a couple of names. I mentioned Burna Boy. Tyler is on there. Ira Star is on there. And I think very soon we'll be able to see the full list and the full categories so that we can root for our own people.
You said Ira's on there.
Ira Star has been mentioned. Tyler has been mentioned.
Has been
Burna
mentioned.
Boy has been mentioned.
Davido mentioned. I'm trying to think of the top flight. But okay, congratulations to our African stars for ever raising the African flag ever so high and ever so bright internationally, globally. And we wish them nothing but the best. We hope that we can get many more awards. Because this thing of Grammys just recognizing African artists in just a little category, they're called the international, foreign, what. They deserve to be on quite a few more categories.
Yes.
And
Big categories, recognizable ones.
Artists of the year, female, hey, they are there. They're there, not just the little international foreign. No, they must stop that. But all the best to our artists on the African continent representing us at the Grammys. It's 30 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest sports.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
It's a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Mosibu Dimakura with your latest sports news. At the Sawa, South African football side Kaizer Chiefs are looking to use their run in this season's CAF Confederation Cup group stages to mount a serious challenge for a return to the CAF Champions League. Now, this is going to prove to be a serious challenge in the season when Mamelodi Sundowns is under threat from Orlando Pirates, Chiefs, as well as Sekhukhune United, amongst others. Only the top two teams in the league qualify for the Champions League. CAF has been mooting the idea of top leagues on the continent having more representation in the CAF interclub competitions. But until then, Amakhosi Sporting Director Kaizer Motaung Jr. says they will continue to fight.
Definitely, a team of our size wants to be in the Champions League, and we haven't been in Africa for a while. And I think the Confederations Cup is a very welcome step from our progression from last year. Of course, you want to be in Champions League, you want to fight amongst the best, you want to be amongst the best. I think the star is something that everyone knows as a big club you need to have. That is a long-term objective, and we're pushing as best we can to make sure we can do that. And you want to be amongst the best. Chiefs needs to be on the biggest stage, so we're going to give all our best to make sure that we can be.
Now, in Cedric Kradzi as well as Khalil Ben Youssef, Chiefs have two co-coaches who also sat on the dugout in the CAF Confederation Cup final alongside their former head coach Nesraddin Nabi when they were at Yanga, a team that is plying its trade in the Tanzanian league. They lost that final to USM Alger of Algeria, and Motaung says that experience of having those coaches will be vital in the team's success this season.
Very much so. They've gone all the way to the final. They've travelled, they've gotten the battle scars from the continent. And in this tournament and on the continent, experience is important. Experience on and off the pitch is going to be vital. We're privileged to have them. I mean, they've walked the journey. So, just very excited to see how they can help us navigate this one. Be very excited.
Right, on to this now. Uganda have moved to end speculation over the future of coach Paul Pat by extending his contract to 2028, a vote of confidence that also comes just 1 month before the Cranes head to the 2025 Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations tournament in Morocco. Now, the Federation of Uganda Football Associations, also known as FUFA, confirmed the renewal in Kampala, framing the decision as a commitment to stability as well as continuity ahead of the pivotal 2-year cycle that includes AFCON 2027 on home soil. Now, FUFA said Pat's brief extension beyond the senior side beyond the senior side to the Chan team as well as the under 23 teams, with the Belgian also said to continue leading strategy as well as player selection across the men's pathway. FUFA Executive Chief Officer Edgar Watson also acknowledged recent uncertainty uncertainty and also used the announcement to calm any nerves. Meanwhile, the first Vice President, Justice Mogusha, said the extension reflects also the performance as well as the alignment with FUFA's technical master plan. He also added that the executive committee found this renewal straightforward. Pat, who took charge back in 2023, said the decision reinforces the Federation's trust as Uganda's target a very strong AFCON and also a deep run when the country co-host this tournament back 2027, or rather in 2027. Now looking ahead, Pat also stressed unity as well as progression, with the AFCON window also looming and two high-profile friendly matches on the diary. Uganda's message is clear: continuity on the touchline, clarity of purpose, and a push to convert recent promise, that is the CHAN quarterfinals and a near miss in World Cup qualifying, into major tournament impact. And finally, Carlos Alcaraz made a solid start at the ATP finals on Sunday with a 7-6, 6-2 win over Alex de Minaur, while our former champion Alexander Zverev got underway with a straight-set victory over Ben Shelton. It was the first time that the Spaniard had won his opening match at the finals. He lost to Zverev as well as Casper Ruud in the last 2 years. Alcaraz as well as de Minaur are in the Jimmy Connors group, which also features American 6-seed Taylor Fritz as well as Italy's Lorenzo Musetti, a late replacement for the injured Novak Djokovic of Serbia. Later on Sunday, third seed Zverev downed Shelton 6-3, 7-6 in the first match of the Born-Borg group, which also includes the likes of Italian top seed Yannick Sinner as well as Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime. It's 13:35 p.m. Central African Time, and that's a wrap from the Sports Desk at the Sawa. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email. That's to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember as well to call us on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibu Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
36 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the latest business news. Chanduko Likeke is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon. Egypt's annual urban consumer price inflation quickened to 12.5% in October. Data from statistics agency CAPMAS suggests that the uptick in inflation comes amid a series of economic reforms and tightening from the Central Bank of Egypt, including recent fuel price increases and wage adjustments, while the rate remains well below the 38% peak seen in September 2023. Sibanye-Stillwater and Appian Capital Advisory have agreed a $215 million settlement over the South African miners' termination of a $1.2 billion deal to buy the investments firm Brazilian Nickel and Copper Mines. Last year, London High Court ordered Sibanye to compensate Appian for the failed deal. According to a statement by both companies, the agreement was announced a day before court proceedings to determine the monetary award. In other news, South African mobile telecoms operator Vodacom Group reported a near 33% jump in first half profit as growth from its businesses on the continent offset a decline in its home market, where it booked a one-off cost. The company, majority owned by Britain's Vodafone, says its headline earnings per share, a key profit measure in South Africa, jumped to 467 cents in the 6-month period ended September 30, up from 353 cents a year earlier. The figure includes a one-off payment of former employee Kenneth Makate to settle a 17-year deal dispute over a callback service. The settlement amount was not disclosed. The first Africa Water and Sanitation Technical Conference got underway yesterday in Johannesburg in South Africa. It is said to be a groundbreaking event addressing critical water and sanitation challenges while showcasing Africa-focused solutions and innovations. The summit, which ends on Wednesday, has brought together all water and sanitation entities, including the Department of Water and Sanitation, municipalities, and the country's water boards. Sandile Mkhize is the chief executive of Umgeni Tugela Water Board.
The purpose of the dialogue is not to continue coming up with new plans, because we know that what are the challenges we are facing in South Africa, but we are saying, let's press a reset button. The reset that will say, let's stop what we are doing and then look at what is it that we can do and do it better, and put time frames and put resources, even if it means we have to pool expertise and knowledge, so that we can be able to ensure that water problems is addressed.
U.S. imports of containerized goods fell 7.5% year-over-year in October as shipments from China plunged 16.3% amid importer caution over President Donald Trump's evolving tariff policies. Supply chain technology provider Descartes U.S. seaports handled a total of 2.3 million 20-foot equivalent units or TEUs last month, down 0.1% from September and below the 2.4 million to 2.6 million TEU range that typically signals peak trade activity, marking only the second October in the past decade to record a month-over-month decline. Now let's have a look at financial indicators. $1 in Nigeria is 1,000 naira 435. In Botswana, 13 pula 132. Kenya, the dollar is 128 shilling 2. Zambia, 22 kwacha 64. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is at 5 real 33. Russia, 80 rubles 88. In India, 88 rupee 62. China, 7 yuan 29. South Africa, 17 rand 58 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound, 86 to the euro. Commodities, gold is at $4,082, platinum at $1,573 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil at $63.93 a barrel. That's all for now. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Chanduko Ligege.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa. Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Tebogo and Mmatsheko from the upside.
42 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the Monday edition of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective with Tebogo, Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Important conversation we are about to have, and that involves content creators and having to pay tax. You know, it's a new space for a lot of people, this content creation. And so the legalities, tax obligations at times seem a bit gray areaed. Not a lot of people know how to navigate it, because also, what does am I a content creator because I create content and people like my videos, or am I a content creator because people are paying me for collaborations and for me to put blurred lines at times when it comes to this space? And so we decided, let's have a conversation about it and let's break it down, especially when it comes to the tax obligations that content creators have.
That's a good point to make, and we actually are going to be unpacking that as we look at South Africa's digital economy and how it is expanding, with content creators being sort of evolving from just social media personalities into small businesses. Because if we're going to talk tax, that means you are running as a business. So with this growth comes a new challenge: understanding taxes, contracts, financial compliance. Very, very important. The Business of Influence Creator Tax and Compliance Seminar is going to be helping creators, influencers, and digital entrepreneurs to learn how to manage their income and also how they can meet the South African Revenue Service requirements and build sustainable brands. It is hosted by influencers Penuel Madonna as well as Pen Nduli. The seminar takes place on the 27th of November this year at Lumo Lounge and Living in Johannesburg. It explores SARS new tax segment for influencers and offers practical tools for running creative businesses, but not only that, doing so responsibly. Let's unpack this. We're joined by Sibongiseni Mbanjwa, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Ambitious Business Consultants. Sibongiseni, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. I think a good place to start is really just to unravel what is happening. Because if I'm a content creator, I'm seeing myself as an artist before a business. So why is it important for us to start, or as content creators, to start viewing our platforms as actual enterprises, you know, so that we can actually comply with taxes, as it were?
Okay. Thanks a lot. That's an interesting question. So what we've noticed as Ambitious Business Consultant, we've noticed that there's something powerful happening here in South Africa, which is a new economy is rising. It's not built in fair trade, not built in offices, but it's built online. So which is content creation. So we've seen influencers posting content and growing their followership, and then they start earning, they start collaborating with brands, and then immediately they earning income out of this. Out of this, they were doing during their free time, and now they are earning income. Now, the policymaker, which is SARS, is starting to recognize them because they are doing big things. They are changing their lives. They are buying expensive goods and products. And then now the policymaker, which is SARS, they're starting to recognize them, and they want to formalize them. Now, while the content creators are not aware while doing this as a content, while earning income, and they're not aware that that income that they are making it's gonna belong within the tech segment. Now, that's where the formalization come in. That's where we come in as Ambitious Business Consultant to formalize the industry, which is creator economy, because they are making income, and most of them, they are getting paid. They are getting payment on their personal account, which increase their income tax brackets, and then they will end up owing SARS, like we've seen recently. One of the social media influencers owing SARS. So that will happen now often, because most of these creators, they don't have much information on how to formalize themselves as businesses.
It's I love the initiative that you are running, Sibongiseni. Education is key in this regard. Yes. It's still a very gray area, though, because what does SARS then deem taxable income? If a content creator is earning through barter deals, for example, they are getting clothes for their content. They're getting an overnight stay at a lodge or a hotel. How does SARS then tax those particular barter items? And then now does it mean contenters must also register as businesses themselves, sole proprietors? Well, you see, there's quite a lot that is unspoken of, but they are thrown into this deep end without clear information on what needs to be done, because the basics of business need to be applied in this regard. And those basics are not applied when someone is creating content at home and maybe just for entertainment purposes, and they're not earning an income. So let's start off with, what are content creators' tax obligations as it stands right now that has been passed on in law?
Currently, most of them, because they are getting paid via their personal account, which is that they are treated as employee. They are paying like employee tax, so which is up to 45% if you look at it. Okay. So they have to register their pay as you earn. They're gonna get they are going to be get paid as an employee, which is an employer tax. So which is going to be much bigger, because they are, remember, most content creators, they are making a lot of income through brand partnership and sponsored ads and all of that. So they are making a lot of income. Imagine one content creator can work with different kind of brands and getting paid even up to 200,000 monthly. So imagine how much tax will be paid on that amount. So I think the best way, what we're advocating as ambitious business consultant is to formalize the industry and make sure all these content creators are registered as businesses. Because if you look at it in a business perspective, in terms of tax, the tax is up to 27% when you run yourself as a business.
Yes.
So you're gonna pay at least less tax. And another interesting thing is that you can able to claim deductions when you're using a camera, you're using transport, any equipment studio. You can able to deduct those. It can be a tax deductions. So that will lower your tax. So that's why we're emphasizing that these creators must make sure that they are registered as business. They must treat this industry as a business, so that they won't get in trouble with SARS. Because what's going to happen, SARS is will start to scrutinize all these creators, because let's be honest, they are living lavish lifestyle. Their lives are available online, so they like to show off. They like to show they've made it. They're working with this kinds of brand. They've earned this much amount. Yeah. So that exactly exposed them to SARS. So that's why we say, let's formalize, as government or as SARS is paying attention to content creators. Let's try and formalize the industry. Because let me tell you something, most of them, you can do your research. Most of them, they don't even know how to work with brands, even to charge themselves in terms of rates, to set up rate card.
Yeah.
Because they are not formalized.
Yeah.
So you see what we're coming with. We start with formalizing them to register as professional businesses, and then we assist them in terms of setting rates and meter kits, so that they will treat themselves professionally. They will earn professionally.
You, Channel Africa, life with gratitude. Download our new app today.
Madapiri pazoshitika. Madapiri pazoshitika.
Inogeka zingeni Chihana lumbiritsidwa kukhala wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko la Malawi pa mwambo omwe unachitika ku nyumba ya chifumu ya Sanjika mu mzinda wa Blantyre. Ndipo pano tili ndi olemekezeka a Chihana. Takulandirani olemekezeka pano pa wireless ya Channel Africa pa Chinyanja Service. Malawi ayembekezere zotani kuchokera kwa inu ngati wachiwiri winaso kwa president wa dzikolo?
Choyamba ngati vice president umagwira ntchito yopatsidwa ndi president imene yakuganizira. Ndiye malowozi athu atipatsa bwinobwino, koma ntchito yathu yayikulu ndi kuwathandiza president kuti masomphenya awo yakwanitsidwe. Pali zambiri zoti zichitike, nkhani ya njala mdziko muno, boma la udakali chimanga ndi china chomwe chili mdziko muno kuti tithandize ana families are affected. Chachiwiri kunali ma fuel shortages amene akanaliponso apo ndi apo tionetsetse kuti mapamps athu asakhale dry.
zochitika pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo lolemba mpaka lachisanu ndi Madaphiri.
The Upside with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African perspective.
They've got the reach, they've got the influence, but do they have the tax returns to match? Let's continue our conversation about the tax obligations that content creators have. And on the line, we are still joined by Sibongiseni Mbanjwa, CEO of Ambitious Business Consultants. They will be running a seminar. It's called The Business of Influence, Creator Tax and Compliance Seminar. It will be taking place on the 27th of November at Lumo Lounge in Johannesburg. Sibongiseni, let's continue our conversation. For those who will not be able to make it to Lumo Lounge, break down some of the conversations that you'll be having on the day that can be of practical help to a content creator right now sitting at home, whether in South Africa, in Angola, in Nigeria. Yes, the context is for South Africa, but just to align the content creation that they're creating and turn that into a business, what are those steps, practical steps that we need to be taking as content creators?
Interesting question. So for those who won't be able to join, these are the topics we'll cover. First, we'll cover the business of influence. We'll dive deep in terms of understanding how the creator economy has shaped the industry, how it works, where it come from, how it works globally, how many influencers in South Africa in terms of their category, their nano, their micro, their macro influencer, their celebrity influencer.
Yeah.
So we'll just make sure they understand themselves which type of influencer they are. So we'll cover that in terms of giving them the background about the creator economy. Secondly, we'll cover the tech side. So we'll have SARS there. There will be SARS officials to explain this new influencer tax, what it means, how they can work around it in terms of complying with SARS. And also we'll have a conversation with the creators, us as ambitious business consultants, in terms of assisting them, because we have a number of packages, we have a number of services that we want to offer them in terms of formalizing this industry. Also, we'll able to talk about brands, how to work with brands, how to match them with brands, because to be honest, there are different types of influencers. We've got lifestyle influencers, we've got fitness, we've got those that deals with tourism.
Yeah.
There are those who deals with beauty products. So they need to understand themselves so that when they engage with brands, they will able to pitch their value proposition. So that's what we're gonna cover. Also, we're gonna able to create a space where they will network with each other, as we want to do this series of workshops in terms of their industry they operate in. And we're also planning a summit next year, which is a Business of Influence Summit 2026, where we'll call all influencers and content creators in one room. We're projecting it's about 800 to 1,200 content creators and influencers, where we'll have brands, we'll have policymakers in one room. We'll match them. They will learn about formalizing the industry, the policies, the tax, and also we'll match them with the brands and make sure that we represent them professionally. So the vision, a lot of information and a lot of that they will get.
It sounds like progressive moves. Oh, you still there? Okay. I'm not sure if you're still there or not. But as we wrap up, Sibongiseni, perhaps you can give us details on how we can attend this upcoming seminar on the 27th?
Can you repeat the question?
How do we attend the seminar on the 27th?
Attend the seminar.
Yes.
Yeah, for RSVP links. So our Hamza Consulting Media, which is a PR company that we're working with. So our social media platform, there's a lot of information there. So in terms of RSVP, the link, so they can also find us on all across all social media platform. So it's written Business of Influence and also Ramza Media Consulting. So that's where all the information is there in terms of RSVP and also the direction of the venue. But it's gonna be the interesting work seminar. So it's gonna be the big one as we preparing for the summit next year.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bongseni. I think you're onto something. I don't know how you're going to formalize the industry, as it were, because there's so many factors. But all the best. I think this is a good place to start by really opening space for conversation and dialogue with the seminar that's going to be taking place on the 27th of November. It's happening at Lumo Lounge and Living in Johannesburg. So just in case you're in the area, you may want to catch it. It is 2 p.m. in Central African time. Let's catch up with the news on Ellen Zinzi standing by.
Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective. SABC News, the African perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Looking at your top stories, the African Union called for an urgent international response to worsening security conditions in Mali. And Thailand suspends the implementation of a ceasefire deal with neighboring Cambodia. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The African Union has called for an urgent international response, including intelligence sharing, to address worsening security conditions in Mali, where insurgents are imposing a fuel blockade and kidnapping foreigners. An Al-Qaeda-linked jihadist group active in West Africa's Sahel region has blocked fuel imports since September, attacking convoys of tankers and creating a shortage that forced schools and businesses to shut. Western countries, including the US, France, Britain and Italy, are urging their citizens to leave. In a statement, Muhammad Ali Yusuf, chairperson of the African Union Commission, expressed deep concern over the rapidly deteriorating security situation in Mali. Furthermore, a female TikToker accused of helping Mali's army has been seized and killed execution style by suspected jihadists. Mariam Sisa, said to be in her 20s and with over 100,000 TikTok followers, posted videos about life in her Tonka hometown in the northern Timbuktu region and often expressed support for the army. Her brother told the AFP news agency that the sister was captured on Thursday last week and accused of informing the Malayan army of their jihadist movements. Sources in Sudan say the paramilitary rapid support forces are detaining more than 50,000 civilians in 5 locations across El Fasher and North Darfur, preventing them from leaving the city. Witnesses accuse the RSF of forcing captives to record ransom messages to their families. Sudanese doctors have called for an international investigation. The BBC's Temesgene Debedi.
Since seizing El Fasher from the army last month, the RSF has faced mounting accusations of widespread abuses against civilians. Reports of killings, rape, looting, and arbitrary detentions, all denied by the paramilitary group, have drawn international condemnation. A Sudanese doctors' union also said the RSF has been removing hundreds of bodies from the streets to conceal atrocities committed there.
The National Prosecuting Authority in South Africa and the Justice Ministry has objected to Advocate Ishmael Semenya acting as evidence leader for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission cases inquiry, resulting in an adjournment of proceedings until the 26th of November. In that time, the two institutions are required to prepare and file a formal application in order to ensure that Semenya will not lead the evidence of those who want to understand the over 2 decades delay in the prosecution of cases following from the TRC. Counsel for the NPA, Advocate Makhosi Gwala, says due to Advocate Semenya having at one time advised the entity of its policy, which was later declared unconstitutional, it is improper for him to be involved in the commission where the NPA is respondent.
The NPA is unsettled by the fact that that very policy is the policy that is said to have brought about the so-called interference in the prosecution of the apartheid crimes. That policy is central to these proceedings. Now, you've got our colleague Advocate Semenya having advised on that policy and having given opinions on that policy. It then appears to us as the NPA that it is inappropriate that he should sit in the proceeding.
Lastly, Thailand says it is suspending the implementation of a ceasefire deal with neighboring Cambodia after a landmine blast near the border injured at least 2 Thai soldiers. The ceasefire deal, overseen by the U.S. President Donald Trump, was meant to bring an end to July's border clashes in which at least 43 people were killed. The two countries agreed to ceasefire after Trump had threatened to make a trade deal with them until the fighting stopped. Recapping on your top stories, the African Union has called for an urgent international response, including intelligence sharing, to address the worsening security conditions in Mali, where insurgents are imposing a fuel blockade and kidnapping foreigners. Now, for any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective. The afternoon conversations continue on The Upside. Lifestyle, culture, and global changes. Right here on Channel Africa, The African Perspective.
Six minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the golden hour, the second hour, the middle hour of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African Perspective, with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito, coming to you live from the Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Join us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. And please download our brand new Channel Africa app. There you can stream the shows live, check out the lineup, get to know the presenters, all the amazing work that Channel Africa does behind the scenes. Go to your Play Store on your Android or your iOS device and search for Channel Africa. In this hour of The Upside, we check out property trends. I didn't know there was such a thing as property trends. Okay, personally, like what are property trends, Mmatsheko Mosito?
Well, I think formally when you look at grids and graphs and things about what's been happening, when we look at the fact that rates have been stabilized and inflation is a little bit cooled off, then you're going to have trends, because trends in this context is about looking at what the graphs are telling us with the incline or the decline of the property market. Yeah. We're going to use South Africa as an example. So we're going to look at South Africa's property market for the year 2025 and the trends of what has been happening in the last 11 months, and perhaps look at a little bit of the 2024 diary as well, because that influenced what we have been seeing transpire between January and November of 2025. So that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to look at new developments, where people are buying, where people are selling, coastal towns, as much of the property market in South Africa and the trends thereof as we possibly can.
And the nomad lifestyle that we have, being able to work remotely now, does this mean that more and more people are opting for buying less property and renting because they get to move around every couple of months, they move to a different place? Or does it mean that they buy every single place they go to? What does it mean? What does it mean for the in the property market? Because we get to work from anywhere around the world. If you got to work anywhere around the world, would you have a stable base? Would you rent out? How would you approach it if you were a remote worker permanently?
I don't know.
Anywhere in the
I don't know, but that's actually a really interesting part of the conversation, because we need to look at the world of work and how it's influencing the property market, because what you're raising is very important.
Yes.
And also, are we actually there as South Africans? Are we there with, you know, our international counterparts in terms of this remote working? Or is it still a few people that are doing that? Or are we still engaging in more traditional forms of work? And you know, those are also very important statistics to look at, especially post the COVID time.
Yeah, quite a few of them. And sustainable living is a thing now. Off-grid living is a thing now. So can't wait to find out more about some of these property trends that we need to look out for in the year 2026. It's 10 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the golden hour of The Upside.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
dziko lapansi likuyang'ana mzinda wa johannesburg. atsogoleri ochokera m'mayiko akuluakulu azachuma pa dziko lapansi akumana kukambirana njira zomwe zingasinthe mayiko, misika komanso zatsogolo la mayiko. mukudziwa kale kuti Channel Africa idzakhala komweko kukubweretserani zokambirana zamkatinkati komanso akatswiri kusanthula zomwe zili zofunikira. msonkhano wa G20 kuyambira pa 22 pakana pa 23 mwezi wa Novembala monga momwe ukuchitikira. khalani cheru ku Channel Africa, kalilole wa Africa.
The right music all the time. On Channel Africa, the African perspective. Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay logged right here.
Mama, oh, I don't need that, mama, Taiti, I don't need that, mama, Taiti, I don't need that, mama, I don't need that, mama, Taiti, I don't need that, mama, Aingo darudo tipembere, achinditambisa kunge mzerere, inini mambo satuterere, hanga singatombo nterere, meno maida ndicheme, achizviti nditori chielele, ari akaita ndiperere, chimenda kashiva mushenengene, akatamani moyo wangu akausiya une plasta, akandisungirira zibomba akandiplasta, pangu kugeto akatobugwa nemarasta, nedzimanya yasina basa waisasa, anondida, ndakuvagara chizvibvunza ini, ndaiti anondida, mama, ndaiti anondida, mama, ndaiti anondida, mama.
And I really love you, Tigambo, Zimiza is in a bagel, and I did it Muno Wajo, Saga Wajo Jay, Aja baby go. I kiss white car out in Madama, he got in no good out Tanga Kukakama. Why change Ramumba work that Wakashama? Hundi doesn't talk about route, how the Yama. Tikama, my man, how finger, but Anna's Yara, how fender. Mario, no, the Gano Benny, I think, Kunaki, Zanika, I see I pere. Dati anondida, mama, anondida, mama, anondida, mama, Dati anondida, mama. Dazona kutandide, bota, andipe, chando taura, anzinzwe, wakande visa chiremerera. Ana yangu, Ana, inorovandika funga ukama, ukama, shinoneza ukanganwa. Ancha manya kutrasta nyango akanaka say it doesn't matter. Sango manya kuwira nyango chumuda say it doesn't matter.
14 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Anondida, Master Age, Shinsoman.
Are we in Beijing all of a sudden? Wowza.
And EXQ on that one. Beautiful music coming to you on the upside this afternoon. Happy Monday to you and yours. Thank you so much for tuning in to your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. We are going to be discussing now the trends that we need to look out for in the year 2026 in the property space. Right, I said earlier that some people are now moving off-grid, sustainable living, but from the buzz of the city to the calm of coastal towns, South Africans are rethinking where and how they live. In 2025, the property market began shifting in powerful new directions, no longer just about square meters and interest rates. Today's home buyers are driven by lifestyle, flexibility, and sustainability. With inflation cooling and interest rates stabilizing, the mood has shifted from survival to strategy. Compact homes, mixed-use spaces, solar power, and smart tech are leading the charge. And with remote work here to stay, smaller towns and suburbs are becoming top picks for savvy buyers. As we look ahead into 2026, what trends will define the next chapter of property ownership and investment? To unpack it all, we are joined by Kula Punyane, a qualified property practitioner from Chas Everett International, one of South Africa's leading property groups. Kula, thank you so much for your time. Welcome. Let's reflect on the year that was 2025 and just walk us through some of the trends that you saw in the property space this year that in other years seemed a bit far-fetched.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. So, Kula Ponyane from Everett International Group. So, I must say this year has been quite challenging in a sense that, we, from the pandemic, we've seen a lot of people selling not because they want to sell, but they're selling because of they are actually feeling the pinch. Because remember, after pandemic, the interest rates were low, so we had a couple of buyers taking advantage of the interest rate.
Yeah.
So this year we've seen a couple of them selling because it was quite tough considering the levies and the rate and taxes and so forth, and also with interest rate.
Okay, so let's talk about the interest rates because, they're expected to stabilize as we see them. So talk to us about how that might influence the shift in how we buy and invest in that regard.
Sorry, your line is fading a bit there.
How is the stabilization of interest rates going to influence the buying and investment activity going forward?
Look, I would say we are currently in a buyer's market. A lot of people have been having investors, taking advantage of the fact that a lot of people are going through financial crisis. So we've been getting a lot of distress from the banks, or maybe the things that have been impacting the market is triple D. The dollar departure was.
Kula, we're going to ask that we just reconnect you on our line. The line is cutting very badly. We'll continue our conversation with Kula Punyane, qualified property practitioner from Chas International, to tell us about some of the trends we can look forward to in the property space in the year 2026. Let's work on getting him back on the line while we take a break. It's 19 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time.
Call us on +27 63 406 9126.
I can see my whole world changing.
contribute to the conversation.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800 428 428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV, ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
The South African Medical Association, SAMA, has officially suspended all relations with the Israeli Medical Association, a move welcomed by healthcare workers for Palestine, South Africa. The organization says this decision represents a powerful stand for medical ethics, justice, and human rights, echoing the global call for solidarity with Palestinians.
And recently, we've also seen other national associations, such as the British Medical Association, Turkish. They've released quite strongly worded statements, although none have gone as far as SAMA to cut ties with the Israeli Medical Association, as well as to call for the suspension from the World Medical Association. It's a watershed moment that an organization has actually taken this step. And it's not an idle threat. SAMA is a member of the World Medical Association, and they can action this resolution by bringing it before the World Medical Association.
Dr. Sadiq Mullah, chairperson of Healthcare Workers for Palestine, South Africa.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. Celebrate life every day. Tune in to Channel Africa. Stay connected through a new website and free mobile app.
21 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's continue our conversation about the property trends that we need to look out for in the year 2026. We are joined on the line by Kula Punyane, a qualified property practitioner from Chas Everett International, one of South Africa's leading property groups. Kula, let's talk about the impact that remote working has had in the property space. Has it had a big impact or not as much as we think?
Are you referring to the interest rates?
Remote working, rather. Sorry, apologies for that. Remote working, yes.
Yes, okay. All right. No, it has. Look, I've seen, people buying into residentials that have more space. In a sense, maybe they'll buy a 3-bedroom with a staff quarter. They use that staff quarter, turn it into an office. And I've also recently had a demand of clusters, townhouses, where people, they want a 3-bedroom, maybe with a staff quarter, because they want to accommodate working remotely.
Okay, so let's talk about the property prices at the moment. I think this is something that a lot of people would want to know before getting into the year 2026. Are they leaning more in favor of the buyer or the seller as we look at the year ahead?
They're leaning more, it's like I said, it's a buyer's market. So the properties that are currently on the market, they are selling within a market value or below, but also depending on the location. Because remember, when you're buying a property, location is key. So we've seen in other areas when the buyers are spoiled for choice. You'll have maybe in a sectional title where maybe the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom is a 1 million, but because of financial constraint or maybe the agency of relocating, you'll see the very same people selling below market value. And you must also remember other people, they bought properties from the developer a long time ago. So when they sell, within the market bid or below, they're still not, losing. But a person who bought resale, it's a bit of challenging to match the price that the seller wants. So I would say the challenge that we're having now is obviously the buyers, they know the buyers are low, the sellers are high. So we're trying to match them, and by so doing, it's like if we're still in the buyer's market, so it gives the buyers leverage to even have demands at what they want the sellers to live in, so that's what we are facing now.
Kula, there was a time once upon a time, many years ago, when you were thinking about buying a house, you wanted your own freestanding house. Yes, I want my own house with its own yard. But a lot of people are moving away from that. Now they're getting into the estates because it offers more lifestyle activities. There are now restaurants and so many facilities. Is that the trend we're going to see going forward? Instead of buying freestanding homes, people are buying into estates, apartments and townhouses?
Look, we've seen a growth in townhouses in the estate, mainly because of that. Some estates are even offering schools, so obviously it's convenient for everyone. And, even restaurant, gym, so you are guaranteed. But also taking into consideration that those things, they come with, your levies, the rates and taxes will go up. So I've also seen other people selling in complexes in estates, going back to residential. And what they do because of the security purposes, then they fasten up their security. So so at any given time, you have people that are going into estates, and then some are selling and coming out. You see, so I think the first the new buyers, first time buyers, obviously you're still young, you're still scared, so they are more likely to buy in a estate or complexes. But I've had clients that bought there, and now they are going back to buying freestanding because of the high levies.
That is interesting, very interesting. We're also seeing the rental property market looking like it's on the up and up. Kula, perhaps you can confirm that. Why is it that it still looks so attractive, especially when you look at or comparing it to the global market?
Yeah. So, I've had people that are selling their properties and then going to rent. Reason being, obviously, when you rent, there are things that you are not paying, things like levies, things like rate and taxes. The seller is liable for that. And also, people are not qualifying, affordability and credit scoring has also been a big issue with regards to that.
Let's then talk about technology, smart technology, smart living, sustainable living. Is that on the rise as well? Are more and more people looking at solar panels, water saving systems when they're getting into property now as compared to 3-5 years ago?
Yeah, that is a cherry on top. So if you have listed a property, if the seller agrees to leave those things behind, that is attraction, mostly likely to have more inquiries, people inquire because of those things that are added on. However, also buyers, they are negotiating the price if those things are not there. So it gives them a power to negotiate the price.
Okay. Well, this has been fascinating. I mean, if we want to perhaps look at, is there a full report that we can have a look at? I think particularly for those that want to get into the property investment space, is there somewhere where we can peruse this further and look at what the trends are looking like ahead of 2026?
What I will say is speak to the the agent, because we are all informed. We do have information that will advise, because even somebody that wants to invest or maybe buy, it's an exercise that I suggest that people must go through the agent, because we are more informed. Also with the location, also with the trends or the developments in the area. The schools, whether it's viable to buy in that area or not. So I would say get the accredited and qualified agent that is farming the area.
Amazing. Kula, thank you so much for your time this afternoon and for sharing the trends that we can look forward to in the property space in the year 2026. The voice of Kula Punyane, a qualified property practitioner for Chas Everett International, one of South Africa's leading property groups. I want to, you know what I want?
Tell us.
I want to off-grid personal. That's just me. But I also realize that off-grid, it looks like it can be a very expensive exercise.
No, it doesn't look like it is.
So maybe not.
I have a friend who's living in a really beautiful estate, access to everything. They are completely off-grid and paying an arm and a leg and a nose.
Okay, so maybe
to
not.
live there.
Maybe not.
But I'm sure there are affordable ways to explore that. So
we just have to find. We just have to find.
Yeah.
30 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the latest sports with Musibudi Makura.
The voice of the continent, now online, with all your sports fixtures, lifestyle, and more. Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. Good afternoon once again from the sports desk. So Morocco produced the biggest win in the FIFA Under-17 World Cup history, and Senegal sealed first place in their group on a dramatic day on Sunday that also confirmed South Africa's progression to the knockout stages of this year's tournament. But the young Atlas Lions and Tunisia must now wait to learn if they do qualify among the best third-placed teams, while results elsewhere guaranteed last 32 spot for Egypt. So the headline belonged to Morocco, by the way, who thrashed New Caledonia 16-0 to obliterate the tournament's record margin of victory previously held by Spain when they defeated New Zealand 13-0. Meanwhile, in Group C, Bakary Sonko delivered a superb hat-trick as Senegal beat the United Arab Emirates 5-0 to top the section, while South Africa also progressed to the next round, that's the round of 32, despite a 3-1 defeat to Italy in Group A on Sunday. There was no disappointment for Tunisia. They were beaten 2-0 by Belgium in Group D, in Group D, and that means they out of the competition at this stage of the tournament, meaning they can't make it, of course, to the knockout stages of the Under-17 FIFA Under-17 World Cup. On the continent now, Tanzania's JKT Queens as well as Botswana's Gaborone United played out a goalless draw in Group B at the CAF Women's Champions League. That match was played at the Suez Canal Stadium in Ismailia, Egypt on Sunday. In a match played in mild weather as well as marked by caution from both sides, the two teams seemed to cancel each other out for a long time. Now, JKT Queens, more experienced, having already participated in the continental competition back in 2023, tried to impose their rhythm, but had often run up against a solid and well-organized and disciplined defense of the Botswana team. It was Gaborone United, newcomers at this level, who created the best chance of the match in the dying moments. United will then shift their focus now to a crunch encounter where they will be up against a wounded TP Mazembe side from the Democratic Republic of Congo. That match will be played tomorrow on Tuesday, while JKT Queens will face off with ASEC Mimosas of Cote d'Ivoire in an encounter to be played on Wednesday. Back home now, South African football side Kaizer Chiefs are looking to use their run at this season's CAF Confederation Cup group stages to mount a serious challenge for a return to the CAF Champions League. This is going to prove to be a serious challenge in a season where Mamelodi Sundowns is under threat from Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, as well as Sekhukhune United respectively. Only the top two teams in the league qualify for the CAF Champions League, and CAF has, by the way, been mooting the idea of the top leagues on the continent having more representation in the CAF competitions. Until then, Amakosi Sporting Director Kaiser Motaung Jr. says they will continue fighting.
Definitely, a team of our size wants to be in the Champions League, and we haven't been in Africa for a while. And I think the Confederations Cup is a very welcome step from our progression from last year. Of course, you want to be in Champions League, you want to fight amongst the best, you want to be amongst the best. I think the star is something that everyone knows as a big club you need to have. That is a long-term objective, and we're pushing as best we can to make sure we can do that. And you want to be amongst the best. Chiefs needs to be on the biggest stage, so we're going to give all our best to make sure that we can be.
Meanwhile, in Cedric Kadzi as well as Khalil Ben Youssef, Kaizer Chiefs have two co-coaches who also sat on the dugout in a CAF Confederation Cup final match alongside their former head coach Nesruddin Nabi, when they were with Yanga FC in Tanzania. They lost at final to USM Alger of Algeria, and Motaung says that experience will be vital.
Very much so. They've gone all the way to the final. They've traveled, they've gotten the battle scars from the continent. And in this tournament and on the continent, experience is important. Experience on and off the pitch is going to be vital. We're privileged to have them. I mean, they've walked the journey. So, just very excited to see how they can help us navigate this one. Be very excited.
Right, so we'll wrap it up with some tennis news now. Carlos Alcaraz made a solid start to the ATP finals on Sunday with a 7-6, 6-2 win over Alex de Minaur, while former champion Alexander Zverev got underway with a straight sets win over American Ben Shelton. It was the first time, by the way, that the Spaniard had won the opening match. At the finals, he lost to Zverev as well as Casper Ruud of Norway in the last 2 years, rather. Now, Alcaraz as well as de Minaur are in the Jimmy Corners group, which also features the likes of American six-seed Taylor Fritz as well as Italy's Lorenzo Musetti, a late replacement for the injured Novak Djokovic of Serbia. Later on Sunday, third-seed Zverev of Germany downed Shelton 6-3, 7-6 in the first match of the Bjorn Borg group, which also includes Italian Yannick Sinner, the top seed, as well as Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime. And that's a wrap of your Sports News this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email. That's to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Give us a call as well. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. I'm back with the final sports update on the show. That's, of course, the upside in the third and final hour for Channel Africa Sport. I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Hi there. Do you want to elevate your business and give it a voice in South Africa and Africa as a whole? Well, in that case, let Channel Africa make this a possibility. Channel Africa is willing to advertise your business for as little as 30,000 rands or $1,719.18. To get access to these great rates, send all requests to mukwenata@SABC. That's MOKOENATA@SABC. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
37 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the latest business news. Chanduko Likeke is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon. Informal traders who have been selling in the streets in the city of Johannesburg in South Africa have pleaded with authorities to allow them back to their trading spots so they can continue providing for their families who depend on the income they make from selling. The informal traders have been affected by the cleaning up of the city of Johannesburg, which was done without their knowledge, with the authorities claiming that they were cleaning the city, which the court since ruled that the city must start with the process of registering the traders. Tutongobeni compiled this report.
Non-profit human rights organization Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa, SERI, and the South African Informal Traders Forum, SATIF, hosted an exhibition and panel discussion on Friday spotlighting the plight of informal traders in the city of Johannesburg. The event was meant to raise public awareness of the struggles the informal traders faced with the law. The event comes in less than a week following a court judgment ordering the city to accelerate the process of verifying and registering informal traders after an overnight blitz by the city last month, removing all traders in the streets without prior warning, despite some of them carrying permits.
South African mobile telecoms operator Vodacom Group reported a near 33% jump in first half profit as growth from its businesses on the continent offset a decline in its home market where it booked a one-off cost. The company, majority owned by Britain's Vodafone, said its headline earnings per share, a key profit measure in South Africa, jumped to 4.67 cents in the 6-month period ended September 30, up from 3.53 cents a year earlier. The figure includes a one-off payment to former employee Kenneth Makate to settle a 17-year legal dispute over a callback service. The settlement amount was not disclosed. In other news, Egypt's annual urban consumer price inflation quickened to 12.5% in October. Data from statistics agency CAPMAS suggests that the uptick in inflation comes amid a series of economic reforms and tightening from the Central Bank of Egypt, including recent fuel price increases and wage adjustments, while the rate remains well below the 38% peak seen in September 2023. Hundreds of thousands of travelers had their flights delayed or cancelled yesterday in the worst day of disruption since the start of the U.S. government shutdown. This as Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warned of worse to come in the run-up to the Thanksgiving holiday. Airlines cancelled more than 2,800 U.S. flights and delayed more than 10,200 yesterday in the third day of the government-mandated flight cuts due to rising air traffic control staffing shortages after thousands of delays and cancellations snarled traffic on Saturday. U.S. imports of containerized goods fell 7.5% year over year in October as shipments from China plunged 16.3% amid importer caution over President Donald Trump's evolving tariff policies. Supply chain technology provider Descartes. U.S. seaports handled a total of 2.3 million 20-foot equivalent units or TEUs last month, down 0.1% from September and below the 2.4 million to 2.6 million TEU range that typically signals peak trade activity, marking only the second October in the past decade to record a month-over-month decline. Now let's have a look at financial indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 Naira 435, Botswana 13 Pula 32. Kenya, the dollar is 128 shilling to Zambia 22 kwacha 64. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is at 5 shilling 33. In Russia, 80 rubles 88. In India, 88 rupees 62. China, 17 yuan 29. South Africa, 17 rand 58 cents. $1 is 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Commodities, gold is trading at $4,082. Platinum at $1,573 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil at $63.75 a barrel. That is all for now. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Chanduko Ligege.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126. And we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So yeah, that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk, it's your chance to air your views. Share your opinion. Engage with the community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African perspective. The Upside, live and real.
Baby, alright. All I want, baby, your fantasy is alright, baby. Baby, your fantasy, alright, baby. Swing my way, shawty, swing my way. Do this thing our way, baby, we fly away. Baby, swing my way, shawty, swing my way. Baby, swing my way, oh, baby, we fly away, yeah. You must be used to all the man them will cruise you. I don't get plans to use you, baby. No, no. Queen, I see you working. You deserve all the working. Diamonds, pearls, and purses, yeah. Oh, no. If you had my love, give you all my trust, oh. All my trust in you, oh, oh, oh. I just wanna know what it's like. Loving you is all that feels right. Need you on my side, I decided. Swing my way, shawty, swing my way. Do this thing our way, baby, we fly away. Baby, swing my way, shawty, swing my way. Baby, swing my way, oh, baby, we fly away, yeah. You say I ain't working, you say I ain't perfect, no. I'ma put the work in on you. Oh. Shake when I see you. Wanna make you mine already. Give you all my time, gon' let me. I'll show you. If you had my love, give you all my trust. Oh, all my trust in you. Oh. I just wanna know what it's like. Loving you is all that feels right. Need you on my side, I decided. Swing my way, shawty, swing my way. Do this thing our way, baby, we fly away. Baby, swing my way, shawty, swing my way. Baby, swing my way, oh, baby, we fly away. Swing my way, yeah. I've been wishing for the day you swing my way. I've been saving my love for you, my baby. Oh, make we do this thing our way.
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you.
Time on. Ukamalindikira ulendo sungatere panjira. Ukudutsa muzopinga tsikuli na utulukira. Munthu kamafika poiphula umakhala wakhaula. Achuluka okudelera ena okukhomerera. Mtima wako watopa, thupi lako lafoka. Pena ngatungozisiya umatiye. Yambiri okudalira, ndipo wakuchulukira. Ukazisiya adandaula. Iwe ndiye pinde zambiri zakanika. Siweweka ifeso takanika. Siweweka komandifa kulakulu. Sosateka kumangorira koma nafe dudutsa mumwemo. Siweweka kaya banja lakanika. Siweweka wina swakulira zomwezo. Siweweka kaya ntchito yakanika. Siweweka wina swakusaka yomweyo. Siweweka timatiwa mwana wendiwe olimbikira. Koma tilibe nthawi yokuombera manja.
ena sakondwera kukuona ukupita amachinga njira kuti usapeze podutsa amangokumba takhala yawe ainitse zako zisayende dziko lose liyadzisangalala okha koma usamadzirembera maliye moyo uno ndivala zilimbe ukulupirira tose tidzidikira mtima wako watopa thupi lako lafoka pena ngatungozisiya umatiye yambiri wokudalira ndipo wakuchulukira ukazisiya dandaula iwe tiye inde zambiri zakanika siweweka ifeso takanika siweweka omandifa kulakulu sosatenga kumangolira omanafe dudutsa momwemo siweweka kaya banja lakanika siweweka winaswakulira zomwezo siweweka kaya ntchito yakanika siweweka winaswakusaga yomweyo siweweka inde zambiri zakanika siweweka ifeso takanika siweweka omandifa kulakulu sosatenga kumangolira omanafe dudutsa momwemo siweweka kaya banja lakanika siweweka winaswakulira zomwezo
10 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African Time. Time on Tipa, Siweweka. Before that, we had My Way by Malik Berry. Double play there. What a beautiful double play this afternoon on the upside as we get ready now for vent o'clock.
Yes.
I've got something to vent about, but I don't want you to judge me for it. Okay?
No,
So-
there's no need for that disclaimer.
No, there is a need for it,
This
especially
is a safe space.
especially this vent. I know some may think or may judge a little bit, so please do not judge my vent today. It's coming from a good place. 10 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African Time.
Channel Africa.
Your Africa, your voice, your channel. Channel Africa.
The African perspective.
In this episode of Channel Africa Conversations, Peter talks to Dr. Tulisile Buddha, an academic, author, and an expert in indigenous knowledge systems. Join us for a compelling discussion on preserving African languages and traditions in the digital era. Dr. Tulisile unpacks the role of educators, explorers, and how technologies like AI can support cultural preservation, and challenges us to rethink how we honor African heritage. You can find the episode on YouTube, SABC Plus, and on our website, channelafrica.co.za. This episode is a must-listen for educators, creators, and change makers across the continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Mmatsheko Mosito and Tebogo Lekhuleni on the upside.
8 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African Time. It's time for Vent O'Clock. Get it off your chest. I saw a article. It's not actually, is it an article? It was an article about in America, a shark about 5 years ago. A shark, one that swims there in the sea. A shark killed a woman, a New York City woman, about 5 years ago. And the headline reads, "Shark that killed NYC woman 5 years ago confirmed as great shark, and it's still out there on the loose." If you find yourself in the waters, in the seas there where the sharks call home, and it happens to take a bite and, takes your life, do authorities now have to kill the shark because it killed someone who was in its territory? It's actually a question. It's the same with the lion situation. Like if you were to go to
Yeah.
a national park in South Africa or in Africa somewhere, and you are camping, fenceless camp, right? You wanted to extreme spot it, and it's a big 5-game reserve, and you get attacked by a lion. Do authorities now have to go find that lion and kill it because it attacked you?
Okay, so here's my thinking around that, because it becomes tricky when we look at, the rights of the animals, because they're roaming around in their wild home. But as I understand it, particularly with lions, is that once apparently we're quite tasty.
Yeah,
Apparently
yes,
we're really, really a delicious piece of meat. So as soon as a lion tastes human flesh, they don't want to have anything else. This is what I heard, from somebody who's been doing this work for a very long time, and has studied animal behavior and everything that comes with it. Once a lion tastes the deliciousness of human flesh, they don't eat anything else. They literally go around hunting for humans. So then they've got to what do they call it when they put a lion down?
No, what is it? Euthanize or whatever
Yes,
it's called.
something to that effect.
Something like that.
You have to euthanize the whole pride, who's tasted a human being.
Yes.
Because then what's the point if we can't feed you? And a lot of conservation spaces and nature reserves work with farmers. They get carcasses of cows and goats and whatever. They take that. They take that meat. They'll take it. But if the animals are not going to eat that, then what is the point? If all they're doing is looking for human beings, it destroys, obviously, human life. It destroys, it disrupts conservation in many ways and puts people's lives at risk. So, I don't know.
So in that case, you're saying it would be justified for them to take down that particular lion if it becomes a nuisance in that game reserve, and now we're seeing more than one incident.
Yes, because now it's going to be habitual. When this lion sees a human being, they see somebody that's now part of the food chain, which was what was happening 700 years ago.
Fair. In the case of the shark.
In the case of the shark, I don't know. Yes, because actually the quality of your question is thought provoking. Ayakwini, what were you doing in the crocodile's territory? What were you doing there in the first place? So then I don't know what the punishment for that would be then. Do we punish everybody else? Or I don't know. I don't have an answer.
No, it's a tricky one. I just saw it and I was laughing because, like I said, the headline reads, "Shark that killed NYC woman 5 years ago confirmed."
She's dead.
Yeah. Shark that killed NYC woman 5 years ago confirmed as great white, and it's still out there on the loose. Someone responded and is like, I don't know, was it supposed to turn itself in? Like, what must happen? Must we go now and find it and kill it? And that's its natural habitat. We were there in its space, and unfortunately, the situation turned out the way that it did. But anyway, I thought I'd throw that at you. Think about it. If you get attacked by an animal in its natural habitat, should authorities go out and take that animal out, even though you are the one in its habitat? For exploration, for whatever, adventure, whatever the case is, should they then take that animal's life away because it went on to attack you as a human being in its space? Let me know what you think. +27 63406 9126 or on social media at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. What do you want to vent about?
What I vent about is this another business-related vent.
Okay.
And customers demanding discounts from people.
Demanding, okay.
Yes, like you're just entitled to. So I know Tebogo sells jackets, and you're my friend. I know you personally, and you sell a jacket for 1,700 rand, and I feel because I'm your friend, I've shared some of my peanuts with you. I've given you some of my water, given you a lift to the bus stop. That you now need to, it now has to be transactional. You need to give me a discount, okay? From 1.7 a jacket to 800 a jacket. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think people should just stop it, please. Just stop it.
That entitlement.
Stop asking people for discounts, because I remember another business person was saying, you don't walk into a big chain store, or a shop in the mall and say, hello, my name is Mbali, I need can you give me a discount?
Never.
You don't do that. So why are you doing it to someone else?
Well, it's because you have direct access to them. You don't have access to the people who own those big those supermarkets, do you? You don't. You just they're employees, they're staff. You don't have direct access to the owner like you would with me if I owned my own business. Because you know me and I'm the owner, you think that you can negotiate directly with me. And that's a problem. And that's why some of our businesses don't work out, because we end up giving those discounts to friends and family, and that ends up
that's a problem.
Cutting into our bottom line.
Yeah,
exactly
it really sinks you. And I understand that. I've got access to you, therefore I feel like I've got the right to ask for a discount. But I think it's also just the manner in which we ask. Yeah. Almost like we are entitled to that discount. Yeah. And when we don't get it, you and I therefore cannot be friends. Just stop it.
Stop it. Support your friends, especially your friends and family. Pay full price. Stop asking for these friends and family discount. Pay full price.
And people are just nasty. They'll say things like, oh, but I can get it so much cheaper at
then go.
Whatever. Then go to that.
Go there. It's fine.
China Mall or wherever it is. Go there.
You're not trying to see me win. It's fine. Go somewhere else and go support to it. Go take that money and put it somewhere else. If you think that they're of more value, then go do it there. But don't undersell me. Don't cut into my bottom lines just because you are familiar with me. Especially friends and family. Please pay full price. It's 3 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the latest news with Onel Nzinzi.
Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective. SABC News, the African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories. The African Union calls for an urgent international response to worsening security conditions in Mali, and the BBC called to prioritize restoring trust with its audience. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The African Union has called for an urgent international response, including intelligence sharing, to address worsening security conditions in Mali, where insurgents are imposing fuel blockade and kidnapping foreigners. An Al-Qaeda-linked jihadist group active in West Africa's Sahel region has blocked fuel imports since September, attacking convoys of tankers and creating a shortage that forced schools and businesses to shut. Western countries, including the US, France, Britain and Italy, are urging their citizens to leave. In a statement, Muhammad Ali Yusuf, chairperson of the African Union Commission, expressed deep concern over the rapidly deteriorating security situation in Mali. Furthermore, a female TikToker accused of helping Mali's army has been seized and killed execution style by suspected jihadists. Mariam Sisa, said to be in her 20s and with over 100,000 TikTok followers, posted videos about life in her Tonka hometown in the northern Timbuktu region and often expressed support for the army. Her brother told the AFP news agency that the sister was captured on Thursday last week and accused of informing the Malayan army of the jihadist movements. The Zimbabwean governing party ZANU-PF has dismissed claims that it is targeting opposition politician Job Sikala following his arrest for alleged possession of commercial explosives in South Africa. Rights groups and opposition figures have described his arrest as a set-up by ZANU-PF for his criticism of the ruling party. His arrest comes less than a year after his release from prison in Zimbabwe, where he was held for allegedly inciting public violence. ZANU-PF spokesperson Farai Marapira explains.
The fact of the matter is this. What you're being exposed to is the usual run-of-the-mill of Zimbabwean opposition. They will commit a crime and try to sensationalize it with politics to try and clean themselves up. But I believe that, as always, the law is very clear. The law will always deal with people that transgress against it. So the opposition can continue to be sensational and they can continue to try and fool as many people as possible. But the truth is the truth, and the truth is stubborn, and the SAPS shall discover and expose the truth. And this is all that we're concerned with as ZANU-PF.
Protesters have targeted a new multi-million-dollar museum in Nigeria and have forced organizers to halt a preview event ahead of tomorrow's grand opening. Videos on social media showed a group insulting foreign guests and ordering them to leave after entering the grounds of the Museum of the West African Art in Benin City. The museum in Edo State was in part of a conceived at home for a Benin bronze artifact looted from there by British soldiers in the 19th century. The campus includes state-of-the-art preservations and restoration facilities. However, a bitter dispute over the control of the prized artworks has meant they are not at the museum, something that appeared to have angered the protesters. The BBC is facing calls to prioritize restoring trust with its audience after the corporation's Director General and Head of News resigned following criticism of how a BBC documentary edited a speech by the US President Donald Trump. Tim Davie and Deborah Turner stood down after a leaked internal memo criticized the misleading editing of two parts of a speech that suggested Trump had explicitly encouraged the Capitol Hill riots in 2021. The BBC's Katie Russell explains.
The claims about the edit of President Trump's speech were very damaging to the BBC. The corporation needed to get on the front foot and either apologise or defend itself. I understand a statement had been prepared days ago to apologise, but that was blocked by the board. For a week, claims about the BBC and editorial bias were allowed to fester. It's a moment of real crisis for the corporation, and there will be questions about who governs it.
Recapping on your top stories, the African Union has called for an urgent international response, including intelligence sharing, to address worsening security conditions in Mali, where insurgents are imposing a fuel blockade and kidnapping foreigners. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Oneli Tsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective. This is
Channel Africa.
time to stay informed, inspired, and connected to the ideas driving Africa forward. The Upside on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Hey, can you believe? Hey, 7 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Can you believe it's the final hour of The Upside? We made it to the final hour of the Monday edition of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, The African Perspective with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whether it's lunchtime now or you are getting ready to wrap up your work day. Thank you for tuning into The Upside. We are live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Download our brand new Channel Africa app on your Android or your iOS device so you can keep up with all the amazing work that Channel Africa is doing. Check out the lineup, stream the shows live, revisit some conversations through our podcast, learn more about the presenters, the on-air personalities, and we also have a brand new website that we revamped. www.channelafrica.co.za. Exciting conversation coming up in this final hour of The Upside. Mmatsheko Mosito.
Yes, happy Monday if you've just started listening. Did you know that 2025 marked 3 decades since the historic UN 4th World Conference on Women?
You know what?
Did you know?
I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Did you know that it happened in Beijing?
All right, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I did not know.
You had no idea?
No idea.
That it happened in Beijing?
I had no idea.
In the year 1995?
Didn't even know it existed.
Listen, that is a fact, and we actually are going to talk about this, and we're going to also look at it in how it has been reignited. So there has been a reigniting of the original spirit and access, as it were, to this particular gathering that happened 30 years ago. And it was commemorated with Beijing Plus 30 advocacy group that teamed up with the Pan-African Parliament here in South Africa for a sitting under the theme commemorating 30 years of Beijing Platform for Action, accelerating gender equality on the African continent. So we're going to reflect on this particular gathering that took place earlier in the month of November. A few days ago, actually, on the 6th of November, is when it took place at the actual Pan-African Parliament in South Africa in Midrand, which is where the Pan-African Parliament is. So we're going to speak to a representative from PAP, and we're going to talk about what actually happened in the year 1995 and what was this UN 4th World Conference on Women actually about. And how does it affect African women or spaces of African renaissance, as it were? So we're going to talk about it.
You know what? Everything that you just said completely went in and it went out. Let me tell you why. No, let me tell you why. As soon as you mentioned PAP, I know you're using an acronym of Pan-African Parliament. Well, as soon as you said PAP, I got hungry instantly, so now I got distracted, and it's all because
I can't
of you.
take you anyway.
It's 10 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time.
Every voice matters. Every moment counts. Celebrate life with Channel Africa. The African perspective. Now in your pocket.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa. Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Leo tujadili kuhusu chipukizi wanaoimba nyimbo za wasanii wengine. Unadhani hili linatokana na nini, Omari?
Nadhani kweli kwamba tukizama muziki ya sasa, hasa wasanii ambao ni chipukizi, kwa kweli kwamba yani karibu kutoka muziki wao wenyewe, lakini wanakuwa wanataka kuhubiria muziki ya zamani za muziki ya wengine ambao ni hivyo.
Wengine wanadai kufanya hivyo ni kupromote vipaji vyao haraka ili waweze kujulikana. Je, yawezekana kukawa na ukweli wowote au ndio kukosa kabisa kipaji cha kuandika mistari?
Ndio, unaona kwamba msanii anapoazimia kwamba kuchukua wimbo mwingine wa msanii mwingine na kurudia yani mara mbili sivyo, haionyeshi kwamba yani ndio wanaanza kazi ya muziki aizalini, lakini ukiangalia kabisa asilimia kubwa utakuta kwamba wanakosa ile mawazo ya kutunga muziki.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Tebogo and Mmatsheko from the Upside.
Yeah. Kenkele, money pay kenkele. Orochoda, Barolano, I'm on your soul, I'm on your jack, I'm on your fall, I'm on my soul, I'm on last soul. Kenkele, 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 oh kenkele, kenkele. Fefene, but sure to be shaker. She come from Sapele, Mr. Checkade. Help me quick, away. That can stop for that. May she dance for away. I'm living my best life. Nobody can tell me how I will live my life. Making nobody tell me. Kenkele, kenkele, kenkele. Money pay kenkele. Orochoda, Barolano. I'm on your soul, I'm on your jack, I'm on your fall, I'm on my soul, I'm on last soul. For the rest came coming on my way. I used to buy my loud for 2K. The many days where we say Rabba no day. Me the back base, I found to me, shake. You know the vibes stay sharp like every day. You know the bad vibes more like a souffle. Get a perfect picture like a beat, like a dope. No be a dope, it be real life, you sabi say. As I'm follow me wine, I be money chaser. Could you echo? Me I be Power Ranger. 9,000 on the streets, I be living my best life. Nobody can tell me how I go live my life. Making nobody tell me. Kenkele, 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 money pay kenkele. Orochoda, Barolano, I'm on your soul, I'm on your jack, I'm on your fall, I'm on my soul, I'm on last soul. Kenkele, 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 money pay kenkele. Orochoda, Barolano, I'm on your soul, I'm on your jack, I'm on your fall, I'm on my soul, I'm on last soul.
Hey, Kenkele. Kenkele.
Not Mkenge.
I was about to say Mkenke. Which one is it?
Wow.
Not the hill. Not that one. Kenkele, BNXN, and One Cole. Coming through on the upside this afternoon, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective, with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Join us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Well, let's get into that conversation, Mmatsheko Mosito. Beijing and 30 years and coming together and something.
And something or the other, yes. So we're looking at an event that took place a good 30 years ago, okay? So this year, as we see it, 2025 marks 3 decades since the historic United Nations 4th World Conference on Women, which took place in Beijing in the year 1995. This is a conference that had produced the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, a landmark framework that reshaped the global agenda on matters of gender equality, women's rights, and African leadership during that defining moment had been both visionary and bold, which actually makes sense because we're looking at commemorating this particular occasion this year. So to reignite the original spirit and the original spirit of this particular gathering in Beijing in the year 1995, the Beijing 30 Plus Advocacy Group joined forces with the Pan-African Parliament, or PAP as some may know it, for a sitting under the theme commemorating 30 years of Beijing Platform for Action, Accelerating Gender Equality in Africa. Still very relevant in terms of subject matter. And this is an event, as we mentioned earlier, that took place on the 6th of November 2025 in Midrand at the Pan-African Parliament headquarters. And it gathered 200 African feminine leaders, government officials with their global representation was seen in the room as well. And we want to talk about it. Okay, we're going to talk about it with somebody who has been very important in South African politics. You may remember she is the former Minister of Social Development here in South Africa. But we're speaking to her this afternoon in her capacity as chair and convener of Beijing Plus 30 Advocacy Group. That is Madame Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi. Welcome to the show, Moleketi. Thank you very much for the time this afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good to be on your show. Thank you for taking up this important global agenda as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very, very important. And, you know, as I was talking about the significant and the agenda that actually shaped the space of equality, women's rights, very important, and still a relevant conversation in the year 2025. Talk to it. Perhaps let's go back to the year 1995 and the significance of the gathering back then.
So 1995 for us as a country was quite a, shall I use the term, heady time? It was 18 months into our new democracy. It was a time when we had an interim constitution that the world looked towards, especially as it related to equality of peoples, taking into account all rights. Our Bill of Rights is very clear on all aspects of it, whether it's equality from the perspective of gender, sexual orientation, looking at the issue of religion and everything else. So our preparation for the Beijing conference itself had led to a major, almost national movement. I was then Deputy Minister of what was referred to the Department of Welfare and Population Development. And our focus was very clearly looking at how we could use this process to be quite far-reaching and reaching out to all women across the country and across all parts, urban, rural, women in all sectors and so on. But we did so not only as South Africans, we did so as Africans as well, because Africa had quite a strong movement around this. And we had a regional conference that took place in Dakar, Senegal, led by the Senegalese Minister of Women at that particular point in time. Also of significance is the fact that, Africa held the position of Secretary General of the Fourth World Conference of Women by the United Nations. And in this instance, the Secretary General was Ambassador Gertrude Mongela. Much later, she became the first president of the Pan-African Parliament. And this is also the significance. But let me pause and revert back to you.
We're currently in conversation with Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi, former Minister for Public Service and Administration and current chair and convener of the Beijing Plus 30 Advocacy Group. And we'll continue our conversation with her right after this. It's 22 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428. To report abuse or get help, GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. Tebogo and Mmatsheko from the Upside.
23 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. A revolution with no going back. That's how Tanzanian stateswoman Honorable Gertrude Mongela once described the Beijing Declaration, adopted 30 years ago at the historic 1995 UN Conference on Women in Beijing. Fast forward to 2025, over 200 African women leaders, policymakers, and gender advocates gathered at the Pan-African Parliament in Midrand under the theme commemorating 30 years of the Beijing Platform for Action, accelerating gender equality in Africa. The goal, to reignite the bold spirit of 1995, to assess the gains and to confront the unfinished business of equality. And to tell us a bit more about it, we are joined on the line by Geraldine Fraser-Muleketi, former Minister for Public Service and Administration and current chair and convener of the Beijing Plus 30 Advocacy Group. Geraldine, let's talk about the declaration itself, seen by many as very radical at the time, the Beijing Declaration. In what ways has Africa lived up to or even fallen short of the commitments made on that declaration?
So let's just take people on a journey as we look at the Beijing conference. And the journey starts from Mexico, which was the first UN Women's Conference. The second one was 5 years later in Copenhagen. The third one was on the very African continent in Nairobi, Kenya, where we looked at the whole question of women in development. And, you know, the theme then was, how do we take that forward? It was at a time, I was 25 years old. I was in Nairobi. I was in exile at that point in time. And interestingly, you had two delegations from South Africa, not civil society and government as in Beijing, but those who were in exile and opposing the South African government, even within South Africa, and the then illegitimate government at the time. We then fast forward to Beijing. And in Beijing, there was the large NGO conference, and we had the country delegation that was at the intergovernmental conference. And there were 17,000 women in Beijing from across the world. It wasn't only Africa making a mark and claiming its space. It was women saying, we're going to shape our future and our policy. Did we make a mark? Yes, we did. So let's look at some progress. When you look at the 12 critical areas, one of those areas looks at the role of women in politics and decision making. The country that has the most women, largest number of women in parliament is on the African continent, and that's Rwanda. South Africa, and whether you look at Namibia, the numbers have always been above 40%. Again, we the leaders in the world as it comes to that. When you look at some of the policies that were put in place as a result of this global platform of action with the 12 critical areas, 189 countries adopted this unopposed, unanimously. And I think that was watershed, because this was the moment when we brought to the fore issues that were marginalized. And for Africa, we looked at the girl child. For Africa, we also looked at the issue of gender mutilation. And I think for feminists across the world, they had to look at how they were going to engage with these issues. Because here we were saying, as women, we're shaping our gender. And as we shape our gender, we are also going to claim it. The whole issue of women in conflict, one of the issues on that agenda, I think sadly, this is still a reality for us. It's a reality for us and the women in the Sudan and in South Sudan. It's a reality for us, for the women in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And it's not only in one part of the Congo, as many would think. It is across the Congo, and the way in which that country has been fragmented. It's also looking at parts of Ethiopia. And we are saying it's time that women's bodies should not be seen as a battlefield. We should actually ensure that we claim our agency. And when it comes to mediation, we also want women mediators. We must be there to find solutions, because we are not only victims. We need to shape our our role as well. And we need to shape not only policies in terms of that role, we also need to shape the way in which we are viewed. And we must be at the table when there's a discussion around peace, when we look at conflict resolution as well.
Absolutely. I'm so jealous. I wish we had more time with you, because there's so much to unpack in terms of looking at effective strategy that really models what the future of African or feminine leadership is going to look like. I think particularly as women really try to reproduce themselves economically. But we have run out of time. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to share space with you. And I think this is such an important gathering that took place at the Pan-African Parliament in South Africa, because it's not just an exercise for intellectual vigor, or for people to just gather and have conversation. But as you mentioned it, Mmatsheko, it really is about policymakers, people in transformation, in innovation, women in education, women who are doing the work on the ground. It is all one conversation. So I think that's perhaps a takeaway as we look at the wonderful progressive work that is being done with Beijing 30 Plus Advocacy Group and the Pan-African Parliament. Thank you very much for the time. It was an honor.
Thank you to you, and for women in the media and the role they play as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That is the voice of Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi, Chair and Convener of Beijing Plus 30 Advocacy Group. It is 3:31.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Mosibu Dimakura with the latest sports news at the Sawa. So former Ivory Coast striker Salomon Kalou has reflected fondly on his time representing his country at the Africa Cup of Nations tournament, describing it as one of the proudest chapters of his illustrious career. So now retired, the 2015 AFCON winner says lifting the trophy with the Elephants remains the pinnacle of his football journey. With Morocco now set to host 24 nations as of next month, as the Ivorians go in search of defending their crown, the former Chelsea forward says he's always wore his national colours with immense pride and honour.
Participating in AFCON is representing your nation, representing your country. I think for us coming back, play for Côte d'Ivoire, representing Côte d'Ivoire in AFCON was something special, And I could see the excitement of Didier, Yaya, myself, Javinho coming back home and wearing that jersey, going to the African Cup, because we wanted to win it for our country.
Now, Kalou adds that the competition has made great strides over the years.
Yeah, it looks very different from when I started. I think now a lot of things improve. The stadium improved, the organization improved, and it give it the opportunity for, even the kid from the African kid who didn't grow up in Africa and have no relationship with Africa want to come back to play that competition, because we elevate that competition. You have such a legend that participate in that competition that contribute to also make the competition appealing.
And still with football news, Tanzania's JKT Queens as well as Botswana's Gaborone United played out to a goalless draw in Group B of the CAF Women's Champions League at the Suez Canal Stadium in Ismailia, Egypt on Sunday. In a match played in mild weather as well as marked by caution from both sides, the two teams seemed to cancel each other out for a long time. Now JKT Queens, the more experienced of the two sides, having already participated in continental competition back in 2023, tried to impose their rhythm, but often ran up against a solid and well-organized and a disciplined defense of the Botswana team. It was Gaborone United newcomers at this level who created the best chance of yesterday's match in the dying minutes. So, ending goalless at the end of the 90 minutes, United will now shift their focus to a crunch encounter against a wounded TP Mazembe from the Democratic Republic of Congo on Tuesday, while JKT Queens will face with AC of the Ivory Coast on Wednesday. Formula One news now. Lando Norris extended his lead in the Drivers' World Championship to 24 points ahead of McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri with a well-judged victory in Sunday's dramatic Sao Paulo Grand Prix in Brazil. But Red Bull Max Verstappen stole the show by racing from a pit lane start to finish in third. In a tense as well as incident-filled contest, Norris won by 10.388 seconds ahead of Mercedes teenager Italian rookie Kimi Antonelli, while the four-time champion Max Verstappen just 0.362 seconds behind after a charging drive including a puncture to a podium finish. It was Norris's 7th win of the season and 11th of his career, moving him within a sight, of a first world title with a comfortable advantage ahead of Piastri, who fought hard and collected a 10-point penalty with about 3 rounds remaining this season. And finally, on the tennis court, Carlos Alcaraz made a solid start to the ATP finals on Sunday with a 7-6, 6-2 win over Alex de Minaur of Australia, while former champion Alexander Zverev of Germany got underway with a straight set victory over American Ben Shelton. It was the first time that the Spaniard had won the opening match at the finals. He lost to Zverev as well as Casper Ruud of Norway in the last 2 years. Alcaraz as well as de Minaur are in the Jimmy Connors group, which also features American 6th seed Taylor Fritz as well as Italy's Lorenzo Musetti, a lead replacement for the injured Novak Djokovic. Later on Sunday, the 3rd seed Zverev downed Shelton 6-3, 7-6 in the first match of the Bjorn Borg group, which also includes Italian top seed Yannick Sinner as well as Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime. And that's a wrap of your sports news this afternoon. On the upside, for any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, give us a call. The number to call is +27 11714 4459. It's 15:36 p.m. Central African Time. I do return in the next hour with a final sports update for the afternoon. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosito Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Your life, your rhythm, your Africa. Channel Africa. Find it for free on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Celebrate generosity. Celebrate you. Channel Africa. Life with gratitude. Visit our new website or download our new app today.
37 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the final business news this afternoon. On the upside, Chanduko Likeke is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon. Citrus Growers Association CEO Mmatsheko says South Africa's citrus industry has recorded its strongest export season to date. He says growers packed over 200 million cartons for international markets, a 22% increase from last year. Ntshabele says favorable weather, improved logistics, and new orchards contributed to the record-breaking performance. He says the bumper season shows the sector's potential to drive exports and job creation. Ntshabele has cautioned the industry still faces rising costs and trade barriers.
The imposition of a 30% tariff by the United States on citrus from South Africa had a limited impact on the industry this season. This was because the tariffs came into effect towards the end of the local season and shipments were fast-tracked. We remain very worried about the impact of the 30% tariff in the coming 2026 season. That is why a mutually beneficial trade deal between the United States and South Africa must be finalized urgently.
Informal traders who have been selling in the streets of the city of Johannesburg in South Africa have pleaded with authorities to allow them back to their trading spots so they can continue providing for their families who depend on the income they make from selling. The informal traders have been affected by the cleaning up of the city of Johannesburg, which was done without their knowledge, with authorities claiming that they were cleaning the city, which the court since ruled that the city must start with the process of registering the traders. Tutongobeni compiled this report.
Non-profit human rights organization Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa SERI and the South African Informal Traders Forum SATIF hosted an exhibition and panel discussion on Friday spotlighting the plight of informal traders in the city of Johannesburg. The event was meant to raise public awareness of the struggles the informal traders faced with the law. The event comes in less than a week following a court judgment ordering the city to accelerate the process of verifying and registering informal traders after an overnight blitz by the city last month, removing all traders in the streets without prior warning, despite some of them carrying permits.
South African mobile telecoms operator Vodacom Group reported a near 33% jump in first half profit as growth from its businesses on the continent offset a decline in its home market when it booked a one-off cost. The company, majority owned by Britain's Vodafone, says its headline earnings per share, a key profit measure in South Africa, jumped to 4.67 cents in the 6-month period ended September 30, up from 3.53 cents a year earlier. The figure includes a one-off payment to former employee Kenneth Makate to settle a 17-year legal dispute over a callback service. The settlement amount was not disclosed. Hundreds of thousands of travelers had their flights delayed or cancelled yesterday in the worst day for disruptions since the start of a U.S. government shutdown. This as Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warned of worse to come in the run-up to Thanksgiving holiday. Airlines cancelled more than 2,800 U.S. flights and delayed more than 10,200 yesterday in the third day of the government-mandated flight cuts due to rising air traffic control, staffing shortages after thousands of delays and cancellations of snarled traffic on Saturday. Global shares rose today, lifted by optimism that an end to a historic U.S. government shutdown was in sight, while government bond yields rose and the dollar steadied. The U.S. Senate moved forward yesterday on a measure to reopen the federal government and end a now 40-day shutdown that has sidelined federal workers, delayed food aid, and snarled air travel. In a procedural vote, senators advanced a House-passed bill that will be amended to fund the government until the 30th of January and include a package of 3 full-year appropriations bills. Now let's have a look at financial indicators at this hour. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 435. In Botswana, 13 pula 132. Kenya, the dollar is 128 shillings 7. Zambia, 22 kwacha 64. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is at 5.33, in Russia 80 rubles 88, India 88 rupees 62, China 71.29, South Africa 17 rand 58 cents. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,094, platinum at $1,578 per ounce, the price of Brent crude oil at $63.85 a barrel. That is all for now. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Chanduko Ligege.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Global leaders, African insights. Follow the G20 summit with Channel Africa as it happens. Africa in business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The U.S. is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Listen in on Channel Africa.
Channel Africa, the African perspective. Impossible.
Yo yala, le namane ko banga, sayar mande atona. Jekal malima ya lima gente mande ya de buria apu dole ya sama boro ya nyu bole mo ama yele fiore ke ya mejo ya vijito ya fi muje ya nyu yore ya fe señor mande ma ye I don't dodge let Sutu hal mo bes mo man le tonye Yore ke di bobi Fete le chingorge Polek mo minefi Puro janta kwerbe Yore ke di bobi Fete le chingorge Polek mo minefi Puro janta kwerbe Todo golpe gana Solo neke nenama Foma tek te guna Fagam nane jamu mul Musirat takhawe Bes bu jam nye buditi sama xol bi dina sédé bëggoon naa yow nent bi fonkoon naa ñi ma mag daana bokko li ma am daan yeesal ca waxtu ba donte xam naa ma tuba yërëm moon naa gone lool donte dama bari tooñ ate ma sa yërmande ndax dama laa réere woon ma fonko waxtu duma nitu leer yàlla bu ma reba deeti bu sirata xawee bés bu jaan bu sama xol bi dina seede bëggoon naa yoo nent bee duma nit ku baax dinaa jéem a fonko waxtu duma nitu leer yàlla bu ma reba deeti bu sirata xawee bés bu jaan bu diiti sama xol bi dina seede bëggoon naa yoo nent bee Salatoma alhamdulillah Kusanti yalla yalla dolillah Tu mama sada yalla je magalla Yai buri buri ya man defal ma Yow rek ya man ya am te ya xam Yow rek ya dal ya dindi ya def Degi naa di ma wax sitaanoo ma benn yoon Delloo ma li ma joxoon du ma def li ma defoon Del nga ma teraloon ñëwuma sa benn moroom
aduna sama xol fàtte liñ waxante woon mooy tuloo nga masanoo man ma def ko àndandoo yeneen te waxal borom leer gi mu jégal ma samay tool
Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time, Mondonga there with Mariam. And before that, we had a song, it was titled Brr, 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 Boy, Boy, Mas. Brr.
I'm a brew.
I'm a brr. Just one brr, not many.
I had to just look for a moment and check if he was okay. I just had to turn around.
Honestly,
and you know, is he having a fit right next to me? And I'm busy looking down. Or maybe you're talking about the burr.
Okay? I'm okay. The burr, okay, is the name of the song. Burr, okay.
Can I just say, I could talk to you about money all day.
Look, money makes the
You know?
world turn.
Absolutely.
Literally. It makes the
I
world
literally
turn.
could do it. But speaking of money, and Tami Gubenu, who's already in the studio to fill us in on what's coming up on Africa in Business just after the 4 p.m. news bulletin.
A very good afternoon to you, wherever it is that you're joining us from today, and happy Monday to you. Not a happy Monday for Senegal. You'll remember about a year or so ago, the International Monetary Fund froze around, I think it was like $1.8 billion dollars program to Senegal.
Yeah.
And this was allegedly because Senegal hadn't disclosed all of its debts, which have continued to balloon. So the IMF had then taken a trip to Senegal in an effort to try and resolve this. This trip has ended with no resolution at all. Or maybe this is a resolution because there isn't a new lending program that has been agreed upon. The IMF was wanting Senegal to restructure its debt repayment, and Senegal has called this move a disgrace. And so it's a stalemate between the two. We'll be focusing on the dynamics between Senegal and the IMF, as well as the implications that this will continue to have for the country and then the way forward. We'll also take a look at developments around Lesotho. The Revenue Services Lesotho Board of Directors has dismissed Commissioner General Advocate Mmatsheko for alleged incompetence, and this includes failure to resolve the tax refund claims, etc. But this has, however, been temporarily blocked by the Labour Court pending further investigation, and it is being challenged by the Commissioner General Advocate Mmatsheko. So those are just two of the business stories that we're focusing on this afternoon.
Okay. Don't miss it. Please do not miss it. Coming through with African Business with Tami Gubeni and her wonderful orchestra that makes things happen behind the scenes. Just after the 4 p.m. news bulletin, we're 6 minutes away from 4.
Keep Africa in your hands. Connect to our website for all your news, sports, and cultural updates. channelafrica.co.za.
And it goes like, my mind there for you, my heart beats for you. Every time when I think of you, I don't know, I feel loved again. I don't want to wait for days. Let me have you in my arms again, please. When they all said I can't have you, I proved them wrong, I came for you. And you were the only one to. Oh, you know I still come through, Give me love, yeah. Forever, yeah. I just wish for your love. My mind there for you. My heart beats for you. Every time when I think of you, I don't know. I feel loved again. I don't want to wait for days. Let me have you in my arms again, please. Your mind there for me. Put it on my bed, body. Love it till the Elohim. Separate the soul and spirit from body. Now you take me heavenly. 21:17. My head is spin. My dear that heavily. Say liar, liar, liar. Girl, I see me and you. Everything will concern you, concern me. Psychiatry, they cannot delete my. Girl, I see me and you. Everything will concern you, concern me. Psychiatry, they cannot delete our. My mind there for you. My heart beats for you. Every time when I think of you, I don't know. I feel loved again. I don't want to wait for days. Let me have you in my arms again, please. Hey, my darling, I'm there for you. Pop the question and yes, I do. My melody should strike a clue that I want you and only you. Hey, my darling, I'm there for you. Pop the question and yes, I do. I go fight though, I go fight though, I go fight for your love.
forever. That was, is that Jackie? Jackie featuring Omalay. What a way to end the show this afternoon on the upside. Beautiful music, great conversation. I enjoyed the property conversation we had about the trends of 2026. Even though we had said that perhaps the off-grid living may not be a viable option right now, because you were alluding to the fact that it can be very expensive to do the off-grid situation. Right? The land, solar, boreholes, what.
But now, with our off-the-record conversation that we're having with Tami Ngubeni about looking ahead and planning for the future, perhaps investing in off-grid now, because it's not going to get any cheaper. Doing it now perhaps is the time to do it and learn the system and see where you can pinch pennies, and then have something sustainable in the next 10 to 20 years.
Wellness.
You know, I was thinking,
there opportunities for you. Wellness, you know how you love your wellness things and wellness retreats and green living and, eating eating leaves. That is a growing trend right now. People are traveling for the purposes of wellness retreats now. It's becoming a booming industry. So over the next couple of years, you should be establishing your own little wellness retreat, little space there. Bring all the internationals and also the people from the African continent to go and retreat at Mmatsheko Sanctuary.
Yes, and we're going to go on safari in your truck.
Thank you very much. That's what I'm doing. Yes, safari. Yeah. You see, we are planners. We are planners here on the upside. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in, Upsiders. We'll do this again tomorrow, same time, same place. From us here at the Johannesburg studios in Johannesburg, South Africa, we say goodbye, and we'll do this again tomorrow. Tami Ngubeni is coming up next, Africa in Business, and then we obviously have the latest news at the top of the hour with Onele Nsinsi. Goodbye, Africa.
Hey, ta-da.
Be inspired. Stay informed.